Mise-en-scène is a French cinematic term meaning placing on stage. It refers in film production to everything that appears before the camera, the selection and arrangement of every visible object within the frame, the placement and movement of objects and actors, the set design, costumes, and more. Kubrick was an unparalleled master of mise-en-scène with an acute sense of framing and positioning. While some footage was shot on location in New York and England, much of what is supposed to depict 1999 New York City was constructed on sound stages in London, UK. Examining the mise-en-scène in Eyes Wide Shut reaffirms Kubrick's understanding of cinema as a visual storytelling art form, not only through the placement of objects, but also through their selection. Book titles on shelves, signs on buildings, pictures on walls, and movies playing on television screens in the background all prove profoundly relevant. Conversely, the art term mise-en-abyme, meaning placing into abyss, refers to the technique of placing a copy of an image within itself or inserting a story within a story. An abyss is a deep, bottomless chasm that, in mythology, often leads to the underworld. The phrase mise-en-abyme describes the visual experience of standing between two mirrors, creating an infinitely recurring image or sequence. The term originated in heraldry and is also known as the Drost effect, where an image appears recursively within itself. Mise-en-abyme can occur in film, literature, and other media, producing a recursive, reflexive, or metafictional effect, where details within the work mirror each other and sometimes refer to the medium itself. This interplay of mise-en-scène and mise-en-abyme, a house of mirrors scheme, reverberates throughout Eyes Wide Shut, reflected in its time structure, duality, and mirroring themes, the contradiction inherent in its title, metacinematic elements, and real-life Kubrick associations. The story follows the main character's descent into an abyss of sorts, with seemingly endless meaningful symbols, images, and objects in every frame. The result is a kind of artistic Rubik's cube, a Kubrick's cube, or more accurately, a Kubrick's parallelepiped or something akin to it. It is a many-sided prismatic tesseract of multidimensional meaning, a phosphenic crossword puzzle, a strange loop of interconnectivity that transcends across numerous frequencies in a complex narrative web, a true work of art. Kubrick's mastery of mise-en-scène is evident across his filmography, with specific scenes serving as prime examples of his meticulous attention to detail and use of visual storytelling. In 2001, A Space Odyssey, the mise-en-scène of the iconic Dawn of Man sequence encapsulates the theme of human evolution. The barren, desolate landscape is starkly contrasted by the sudden appearance of the monolith, an object whose perfect symmetry and alien black surface disrupt the naturalistic setting. This deliberate placement creates a visual and thematic rupture, symbolizing the moment of transcendent knowledge. Similarly, the rotating spaceship interiors, designed with pristine minimalism and geometric precision, reflect humanity's mastery of technology and the existential isolation of space exploration. In The Shining, Kubrick's use of mise-en-scène transforms the Overlook Hotel into a character in itself. The layout of the hotel defies spatial logic, a deliberate choice that creates an unsettling sense of disorientation. The blood-red walls of the elevator hallway, the intricate patterns of the carpet in Danny's tricycle scenes, and the eerily symmetrical framing of the twins all contribute to an atmosphere of unease. These visual elements are not random. They are imbued with meaning, mirroring Jack Torrance's descent into madness and the cyclical, inescapable nature of the hotel's evil. Mise-en-abyme also features prominently in Kubrick's work, amplifying his film's recursive, self-referential qualities. In Barry Lyndon, the use of candlelit interiors and the framing of characters within the confines of doorways and windows evoke classical paintings. This creates a mise-en-abyme effect, with the film reflecting on its own artifice, drawing attention to its constructed nature as a period piece. The deliberate stylization reminds viewers that they are watching a narrative within a narrative, adding layers of complexity to the storytelling. The duality and mirroring themes so prominent in Eyes Wide Shut can also be traced back to A Clockwork Orange. The mise-en-scène of Alex's bedroom, adorned with Beethoven paraphernalia and violent, sexually explicit art, encapsulates the film's exploration of the intersection between high culture and primal violence. The film's infamous opening shot of Alex staring directly into the camera, flanked symmetrically by his droogs, mirrors the audience's role as complicit observers of the narrative. The use of mise-en-abyme occurs when Alex is forced to watch violent films as part of his conditioning, creating a story within a story that critiques the nature of cinematic violence itself. Kubrick's ability to seamlessly intertwine mise-en-scène and mise-en-abyme is perhaps best exemplified in Dr. Strangelove. The war room, with its cavernous black space and glowing circular table, is both a visual metaphor for the absurdity of global power struggles and a recursive comment on the nature of decision-making as performance. The mise-en-abyme here lies in the film's ironic detachment. The exaggerated performances and surreal production design reflect the insanity of nuclear war, while also exposing the theatricality of political discourse. Kubrick's films, therefore, are not merely stories, but intricate visual compositions that demand active participation from the audience. Each frame is meticulously constructed, with every element contributing to a larger web of interconnected meaning. This fusion of mise-en-scène and mise-en-abyme results in works that transcend traditional narrative, challenging viewers to decipher their multifaceted layers. In doing so, Kubrick cements his legacy as a filmmaker who redefined the art of visual storytelling. Kubrick's mastery of mise-en-scène in Eyes Wide Shut can be seen in the meticulous design of each frame, where every detail carries symbolic weight. In the early scene where Bill Harford and Alice attend Ziegler's opulent party, the mise-en-scène communicates the interplay of wealth, power, and desire. The ballroom's gilded decor, shimmering lights, and extravagantly dressed guests create an atmosphere of excess and superficiality. Yet, the arrangement of mirrors throughout the scene subtly reflects the character's duality, hinting at the hidden desires and betrayals that will later surface. The red and gold hues dominate the palette, symbolizing temptation and danger, while foreshadowing the more sinister undercurrents of the story. In Bill's journey through the streets of New York City, which were, in fact, painstakingly recreated on London sound stages, Kubrick's attention to mise-en-scène transforms the city into an otherworldly labyrinth. Neon signs glow with an artificial vibrancy, casting unsettling colors across the frame, while storefronts display mannequins and objects laden with sexual symbolism. The arrangement of these elements mirrors Bill's internal descent into a world of moral ambiguity and suppressed urges. Even the street names and shop signs, such as Rainbow Fashions, serve as deliberate nods to themes of disguise, illusion, and layered meaning. The ritual scene at the masked orgy is a tour de force of Kubrick's use of mise-en-scène. The circular arrangement of robed figures, the stark contrast between light and shadow, and the crimson-draped interiors create an atmosphere of both reverence and menace. The recurring symmetry in the framing mirrors the cult-like control of the participants, while the masks conceal individuality, reinforcing the film's exploration of identity and anonymity. Each detail, from the positioning of the masked priest to the echoing chant of the ritual, contributes to the sense of dread and alienation. Mise-en-abyme also permeates Eyes Wide Shut through its recursive use of visual and thematic elements. One notable example is the scene in the Somerton mansion, where Bill becomes both a participant and an observer. His role within the orgy mirrors the viewer's own position, creating a story within a story that comments on voyeurism and complicity. Similarly, the repeated motif of eyes, whether in the form of masks with exaggerated eye holes, the painted eyes on walls, or the literal act of watching, creates a self-referential loop. This mise-en-abyme effect draws attention to the act of observing, both in the narrative and in the cinematic experience itself. In the climactic scene where Bill returns home to find his wife sleeping next to the mask he had hidden, Kubrick's mise-en-scène reaches its emotional peak. The mask, placed on the pillow beside Alice, is more than a prop. It symbolizes Bill's fractured identity and the secrets that threaten their marriage. The stark contrast between the warmth of the bedroom and the cold, lifeless mask intensifies the emotional weight of the moment, reflecting Bill's realization of his vulnerability and guilt. Throughout Eyes Wide Shut, Kubrick layers his mise-en-scène with mirrors, reflections, and symbolic objects to create a narrative that folds in on itself. This recursive layering ensures that every scene is imbued with deeper meaning, compelling viewers to look beyond the surface and question the interplay of reality, fantasy, and identity. Through this meticulous construction, Kubrick transforms Eyes Wide Shut into an intricate puzzle, a work of art where every frame demands analysis and interpretation.